All right, we are live, guys. Welcome to the Late Night Show with your host, Chichi Stylxz. You guys, thank you so much again for joining me on this exciting Monday. I have a guest all the way from Australia, and we're talking about his two amazing films, guys. If I say the films are amazing, now you guys know I love filmmaking. It's amazing, and this dude is only 21. And I'm sure he made the films a few years ago. I think maybe he was around 19 is what I read on your bio when you made the films. So introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your work. And then we're going to go into the actual films. Tell us your name, where you're from, and all the cool stuff about you, where you went to school, as many cool things as we can know about you, sir.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my internet kind of just froze up for a second. So yeah, thank you so much for the lovely intro. Yeah, my name is Radheya Jagadeva. I was a student. I just graduated from Curtin University, where I studied a double degree of screen arts and marketing. I am 21 years old. I'm a filmmaker and an animator. And yeah, I live in Perth, Western Australia. It's one of the most isolated cities in the world. But yeah, it's so great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, my films were Irony and The Quiet. Irony I made, I started towards the end of high school, and I was about 17 at the time. And then with The Quiet, I was like 19, 20. So yeah, I just worked on those for several months, and yeah, they're done, and I'm so glad that they were part of this. And just thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so dude, like first of all, we're gonna go into each film, but I wanted to. You said something about you were from Australia. By the way, I love the accent. I mentioned that before the show started. I was like, maybe I should do this entire episode in a British accent as well.
Just yes, I would love that. I would love that.
Oh my god! Okay, we can do it. Oh, we can do it. Why not? Why not? Okay. And I was telling you, every time I talk to someone in a British accent, I just need like tea and biscuits, but I've got only water, so I'll drink that.
Oh, you got your water bottle.
I've got my water bottle. Oh, it's so awesome to talk to you. Your films stood out. And by the way, you are an Oscar nominee. Talk to us about Oscar. Yeah, the nomination festivals. The festivals.
Yeah. I'll just say it's long listed, so not quite not nominated. Right. But yeah, no, you're super grateful to The Quiet. Recently, just at the beginning of this year, we found out that it was long listed for the Academy Award for Best Animated Short, which was just insane to us.
Academy Awards.
Yeah, I was like, what? But it was just, I still can't. I'm like still like these months later, like still pinching myself.
I know.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And yeah, it was just the most amazing feeling. And yeah, so, I mean, unfortunately, didn't get quite through to Oscar nominated, but maybe one day I'll keep working at it.
Yeah, and that's what you know, for your start, you've done very, very well. I'm gonna read your bio. You are a Perth-based Australian filmmaker, born in Johor, Malaysia, to parents of South Korean, Japanese, Indian, Malaysian ancestry. You have a Bachelor in Commerce and Arts at Curtin University in Western Australia. Your films have been selected to 16 Academy Award qualifying festivals, drum roll, along with a nomination for the Australian Academy of Cinema and TV Arts Award, often described as Australia's equivalent to the Oscars. You've got to say the Oscars with a British accent. Your films have collectively had more than 900 official selections, 340 awards worldwide, and have been played in all the world's 7 continents, with the most difficult bastion breached when Irony played at Antarctica's Davis Research Station. Tell me, how does that make you feel that this is what you created in your teenagers years?
It kind of, I guess, it's a weird feeling for me to kind of really, process. I kind of like, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. I mean, it definitely, it's really, I'm just, honestly, all I can say is I'm just super grateful to have had my, my creative works, to have, I guess, had that kind of reach and to have, been able to participate in all these amazing film festivals all around the world. Like the most amazing thing is like the people that you meet. Like I've been very lucky over the years to, like, in some of the festivals, to be able to go over and to meet the super talented filmmakers and the event organizers and to watch these films. Like that's just, yeah, the people that you meet and the people that I've met on this journey have honestly just been the most incredible part. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just very grateful and honored that my films have given me the opportunity to, yeah, just to create these connections and to make these friendships from people from all over the world. Yeah.
That's awesome. So which one? So you made Irony first, and then Quiet was second, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we're going to start with Irony. I'm going to read the tagline. A film that explores the relationship between man and technology, told from the perspective of a phone.
That's correct. Yeah.
Irony has been selected to 7 Academy Award qualifying festivals. Now, Irony itself was mind-blowing. How did you come into, okay, now this film was based on the poem 7 Billion, written by the film director that won 2 National Poetry Awards. How did you come about the concept? You were 17 when you thought about the concept of Irony. And what is your message in Irony to people and technology?
Right. Well, so yeah, Irony started out with, in your high school, I started writing this poem called 7 Billion. It actually started out as an English assignment. The poem was a bit different to what it, evolved into the final film. But yeah, once I'd made the poem, it kind of didn't feel complete to me, and these visual images kept jumping out at me once I'd finished it. And so I quickly sketched them down, and that's when I started to formulate this idea in my mind that maybe let's turn this into a visual poem, into a short animated film. And so yeah, it was for both, I'll say Irony and The Quiet, very evolutionary process. Like so many ideas kind of came to me while I was making it, or while I was animating it. For me, because I'm working on an animation myself, the animation process is a very long, painstaking process. Like takes several months when I'm working on it. And so because of the time frame, and because I'm working to my own pace, I guess so many kind of ideas come to me just from either my own personal experiences, from experiences of those around me, or from things I've heard on the news and that kind of thing. And so with Irony, it was a whole lot of different things. I think it definitely covers a very wide range of different topics in relation to how we use social media and technology. But I think for me, one of the most important things is actually the title Irony, because I wanted it to have some sort of self-awareness from the beginning. This is a piece that has irony on a whole lot of different levels throughout it. And for example, it was made entirely on this laptop that I'm talking to you on right now. I'm someone who does use social media, of course, but back at the time, I felt that I was very reliant on social media and the validation that I guess I sought from those kind of platforms. And to me, I don't think I would have been able to make Irony if I hadn't, been so, I guess, technology and social media obsessed, especially at the time. And so it was drawing on, and in fact, I would say almost poking fun at myself in many kind of aspects of it, in the poem and in the visuals, but also, of course, observations of those around me, and also things that you hear in the news, especially when it comes to the more serious subject matter that's kind of that is dealt with, including things like cyberbullying and the ramifications of that. So it was, I think, but overall, my message, of course, is technology. I mean, I think it's certainly, for me, implied that technology is incredible and we can do so many amazing things. It connects us. It's there are obvious, I think, more advanced pros than cons when it comes to social media and technology. But I really wanted to look at those negative aspects of it, those detrimental aspects to humanity, through a very creative lens, and just to really make us reconsider some of the ways or the extent in which we use technology. But there's in hindsight, there's actually there's a lot more that I would, and I think especially that in recent years, there's a lot more things that I think I could have or should have maybe commented on, things like, texting and driving, like my biggest pet peeve, or, that kind of thing, or, the, I guess, privacy and technology and how all of that's kind of there's a whole lot of, I guess there's too many things to kind of tap into. But yeah, I think this is very broad, very, I guess, really, I think, creative perspective on I guess, with the way we use technology, and I guess that kind of mixed messaging in that sense.
Yeah, and throwing the pill down your throat of all the stuff that's out there. I remember that part of the trailer, but watching it, I was so impressed by everything, and it was moving so fast, but it was telling me the message the entire time, because there were all these things that I was very familiar with that I utilized on my phone, that it was clear I may have been one of the people obsessed with social media. And how is that affecting my personal life? How is that affecting how I feel about myself? Do I need those many likes to feel like a normal human being? Do I need them to feel okay, normal, alive, and whatever else? And imagine what teenagers are going through with bullying and all that. So that is quite amazing. How long did it take you to make Irony? What was the time frame?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say I'd say maybe several months to a year. I was, in high school and then going into uni, and so, I was working on it whenever I had free time. But yeah, it did take the whole process did take quite a while, not only with the animation and, like, I guess a lot of writing it while I was making it, but also, with the soundtrack and the music. I had made the soundtrack for my previous, like my very first short film, and it was something that I really fell in love with. And so I tried to do it again with Irony, and that was a really great, fun, creative process, because I think, especially with my kind of own vision for what it would sound like, I think there was no kind of barrier between that, and I kind of knew what I really wanted to make, and
I was going to ask you about the music, but it just sounded like it was created exactly for it. So now that you're telling me you created it yourself, I saw that in the credits, but I'm like, wow. So you created all that in the laptop that you're chatting with me on right now?
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, what was that?
The music and everything you created was created from that laptop.
Yeah, so this laptop I'm talking to you right now, I've had it with me for a few years. This is my baby, and like sometimes using things like a tablet for, like, drawing some of the elements, and using different plugins. But yeah, in this the software I use pretty much on this laptop is kind of what I've grown accustomed to and have been using animation for. But yeah, it can be a very time-consuming. Yeah, definitely was a very time-consuming process over those. Yeah.
You told me something before we go to the next film, prior to us coming live, you mentioned that your parents wanted they were okay with you studying marketing but not film, and you were trying to say, I wanted to do film. Tell me a little bit about that experience, or tell our viewers a little bit about that experience for you and how they came about loving you making film.
Yeah, so I mean, I've always been a very creative person, and I just always love expressing my creativity. When I was in high school, I think my parents definitely were not so keen on me studying having basically an art degree. They very much looked down upon it. And I think it came from a place of love, of course. And I think they were just worried about my future and the career, because it can be a very competitive and a tough industry, especially for people of color. And so basically it meant that once I got into uni, my first year of uni, I was just studying, Bachelor of Commerce. I was doing marketing because that was the most creative major I could find within commerce. And then, but yeah, over that period, I was, working on Irony whenever I had spare time. So, I mean, in high school, we didn't actually have a film subject or a subject where we could learn about that. So, interestingly, a lot of my, I guess, learning about how to actually create animations came from online, watching tutorials, and just kind of, I guess, self-teaching in that sense as well, trying to figure out how to use software. And I've always, loved writing and storytelling. So once I had those, the knowledge about how to create these visuals, I was able to project all of those into this, visual format into an animated short film. But yeah, essentially after those started kind of getting traction, my parents became very, very supportive, and I really loved them, and I'm really happy that they were so passionate about me, wanting to study or do what I wanted to do. So we came to a compromise, and I did a double degree of screen arts and marketing. But I think it was really good to have. It was kind of the best of both worlds. I really enjoyed seeing that kind of commerce marketing side of things, and I think it definitely comes together very well. And yeah, but yeah, even like while I was doing studying marketing in that first year, right before, like while at the very beginning of Irony, they surprised me with like a big drawing tablet, which I used for the film, and I've used for many of my books after that. And it was just such a heartwarming moment, and I was like, wow, even though they didn't want me to study that maybe as part of uni or something, you could tell that they definitely were. They had that love for it, and they knew it was something that I loved as well. So
and they could see you pushing through to do the work, and then the film started getting so much traction, so they're like, of course we've got to support this.
Well,
I mean, you're doing amazing and doing amazing work at that age. That is
thank you. And I will say, I'm not sure if you know this, but the voice in Irony and the Quiet is actually my dad. So
that was in the credits. Wow. Okay, so yeah, he played it, because I was going to ask you that. The Quiet was a very tricky piece. We're coming to that next. But I did not know, because the ending, the twist, the big twist, the ending, I was like, is that him? Is he the one in jail? There's no twin brother? I'm confused. But it was awesome, because that's what film does. It keeps you at the edge of your seat. And for these to be short, The Quiet, I think, is 10 minutes. For it to be short and yet give you so much in little time, of time wasted, of daydreamers, of all of that in one piece. I was like, who's this guy? And to have seen Irony as well is like, dude, you've got something in animation and film, in storytelling, because filmmakers like to tell stories, but everybody tells them differently. Documentary, they tell it in animation. Your pieces are so unique. We didn't want to say these were our best, like our top best. However, they had honorable mentions, and they were selected as finalists because the work was good. And for me, I believe it's because you had so many accolades already, right? And then we thought of, okay, what's he doing next? We're eager to see what he's doing next, because these films are sort of like old in the festivals. They've been here 2-3 years. They're not like freshly new. So we're gonna look at the ones that were done in 2020. And I think a lot of festivals still make those selections that way, but you just got an Academy Award selection this year, for a film you made how many years ago. So let's go quickly to The Quiet, and I'm gonna read your tagline. When an astronaut ponders on the quietude of space, he comes upon a startling self-realization. The truth is written in the stars, but what will he uncover? How and why did you write it that way? Why didn't you talk about the twin brothers and all that in your tagline? You just wrote it very generally. So when I read it, I usually read it before I watch. Right. And when I read it, I thought, oh yeah, I saw stars, I saw space, I'm going to get a space film. And then I went in and I was like, what?
Yeah. So
the writing part of your tagline.
Definitely, especially because the tagline is something you usually see before you watch the film, and with a film with a twist like this, and that really sets up this very different, I guess sets the viewer up on this very, roller coaster ride of a journey through the narrative. It's something that I definitely wanted to kind of surprise them with, and really kind of, to set it up very ambiguously, so you're like, you're not sure exactly what you're getting into, because it is quite very experimental film in many aspects, in terms of, the abstraction of visuals and the abstraction of that subject matter. I definitely wanted to tell, a human story set on Earth, but through celestial imagery. And how would I be able to do that, by interweaving, there were all sorts of other kind of themes going on, like, silence and how that translates into isolation, and the imprisonment of the mind and escapism and all of that, but also thinking about, I've always loved space, and it's always fascinated me, and thinking about, okay, well, there's no sound in space, but what if I marry elements kind of everyday household sounds with celestial bodies and that kind of thing, and seeing maybe there's a story there. So yeah, that's kind of the reasoning why I left that tagline so ambiguous. I really just I didn't want to kind of give any kind of hints or twists away, but it's interesting. But right before we kind of went live and we're talking, you mentioned that it's a film that needs to be seen more than once, and I'd really like that you mentioned that, because on the second viewing, once you know what happens, like there are so many elements within the dialogue and the narration which literally, like, some of them are so incredibly obvious, like he literally gives the ending away, and others that are more subtle, but they all kind of hint towards the same thing and hint towards the reality and the truth of the ending. So yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of hidden in plain sight in some senses. But yeah, that was the justification.
Very deep. Oh my God. I think it was so fascinating to see how you created this from, I'm going to read your statement. You created this short story from a Silence, which is the winner of the Montreal National Youth Section for KSB. Tell me about the creation of The Quiet and how that came about.
Yeah, so that short story you mentioned, Silence, that was a short story I wrote also in high school. And when I was revisiting some of my earlier work, and I found that short story. It was also about an astronaut floating, like orbiting Earth, but the story was very, very different in the end. But the first line and the last line were like, silence is the most beautiful thing that exists in this universe, and then silence is the most terrifying thing. And so I thought that was an interesting place, to a short film could kind of grow from there, especially when I was thinking about silence and what that kind of means to me. I am someone who definitely enjoys my, silence and alone time in some senses, but I was interested in seeing how a character's attitude towards silence and like that aspect of loneliness might change in a number of contexts throughout his life. But yeah, it was, animation and film can, for me, especially when I'm working alone on my laptop for like hours on end, it can be a very lonely process. And so it was interesting to kind of channel those aspects and those thoughts in as I was creating it. But yeah, so that was kind of one side of the kind of inspiration for it. But the other side was I was in Hong Kong in like end of 2017, and suddenly just like a kind of thought or like an image, a vision, I guess, came to me of stars and the sound of a salt shaker and the sun and the sound of a gas stove turning on. And so I was like, okay, that's interesting. I wrote it into my phone so I wouldn't forget it. And I still have the little note memo. But I thought, okay, I mean, that's not a film idea, but it's something. It's something that I could kind of work with. It's something that's kind of interesting to me visually. And so that's kind of how it started, with those lines and then with that imagery. And then I thought, okay, so we have something here. I'll start animating it and then we'll see where it goes. When I started with the animation process, same with irony, I actually did not have a fully fleshed out idea of what I was creating. I knew it was something that I was gonna find as I was making it, and it was definitely that story kind of really found itself as I was animating. I knew there were like a lot of things and themes I knew like were gonna be like solidified from the beginning that kind of went all the way throughout. But I guess the details of that in both the visuals and the specifics of the mechanics of the story and the characters. It was a really evolutionary process, and it was challenging, but it was also really fun. And it was a great process, I think.
Awesome. Like I bet you the rest of the world, I can't wait to see other animations that you do, because the work that you've done already has been superb. I want you to take some time to give some shout outs to those folks who've helped you to come this far, and to do both projects. Both projects, guys, for our viewers, will be playing on Chi TV this week. And so if you want to see them, they were selected in Flix Reps Festival 2020. If you want to see them, here's the full interview about the filmmaker you're talking to him. If you have any questions for us, let us know so we can email him. If not, the films will be available on Chi TV this week until Sunday for your viewing. It's called The Quiet and Irony. And tell us who should you be thanking right now? Who are all the shout outs you want to give to those folks that helped to make this possible?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, the biggest and most obvious shout out, I think, would have to be my dad. Not only, for for producing the films, especially, helping out with that, I guess, the distribution of it. I couldn't have done it without him. He's just incredible. But also for providing his wonderful voice as the narrators of both films. It was really great to be able to bounce ideas off each other. And I think, especially working with someone I was so close to, I've known him my whole life, I didn't feel like restricted in directing. Like I was like, I could kind of go for it and just kind of do what I wanted.
Right.
Yeah, no, he's just the most amazing person, and he was just amazing to work with. As for other people, I mean, yeah, Irony and The Quiet were both films I kind of predominantly made myself. So I guess I'll just mention, I mean, my mum, amazing, just for. I literally wouldn't be here without them, but they're just thank you, mom and dad, for just all your support and for being there for me always. I love them very much. And I will shout out to my brother. His voice actually appears in The Quiet.
Okay.
So obviously The Quiet, a big part of it is brotherhood and siblings, and how that loneliness aspect of it translates across. And there's a scene towards the end of the film where he's got the main character is reminiscing of his memories with his brother, and you hear like the children playing and laughing. And so those were actually taken from home videos of my brother and I playing years and years ago that I found on like a hard drive. And so it was really great to be able to use his voice. And I always like. He's not a filmmaker. He's studying like medicine, so you can tell who the favorite child is. No, but I always show him like my work, and just I like getting his like opinion and how things looks. And he's always like,
is he older or younger than you?
He's younger than me. He's like 2.5 years now, but he's
nice.
So yeah, really a family affair. I think
that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Shout out to your family. Tell us what's next for you. What should people be looking for next that's coming up in your filmmaking world?
Right. Well, very recently, like end of last year, beginning of this year, I finished a film called Painting by Numbers. It's kind of in a similar vein to Irony. I think it's social commentary, like very experimental, non-narrative animation. That focuses on climate change and environmentalism. So just I guess very brief kind of synopsis type thing. It's a kind of warning about environmentalism and climate change told through 7 different of the most famous paintings in the world, each in relation to the 7 deadly sins. So a bit of a weird kind of concept, but I promise it makes some sort of sense. So that's kind of starting its film festival circuit run, and I really want to get that out there because I think the message is like, super important, especially where the world is right now. It's something that we've kind of heard a lot, and I think it's not something that we should ever stop talking about. And I just want to approach that kind of creatively. But in terms of what I'm working on right now, I've got 2 short film projects that are kind of my main big projects for the year. One of them is a documentary project called Pacing the Pool. It's about this guy called Richard Pace and how he's used aquatherapy and swimming to help with physical disability and disease. And the other is a short animated film called Bird Drone. It's an unrequited love story between a seagull and a drone. And it's a short animated film. It's one I finally got some funding for, so I'm working with others on this one. And it's going to be just a really valuable experience for me. But I think I'm so happy that I'm part of that project and bringing it to life, because it's just such an amazing story. Like the writer Claire Toonan did such an incredible job, and I really hope I can do it justice. So those are my main kind of projects for the year.
Awesome. Now tell us where people can follow you online, like what social medias would be best for people to find you, follow you, and see more of your work.
Yeah, so Irony and The Quiet both have Facebook pages. So if you search like Quiet Short Film or Irony Short Film, you should come up. I do have Facebook. I also have an Instagram account, so Radheya_J. My name is a bit hard to spell, but I guess you can find that somewhere. And then I have a Twitter, which is Heya, it's Radheya. So I think Twitter and Instagram are kind of where you'll be able to see I guess follow more my filmmaking kind of journey. But also there's Facebook pages, of course, if you want to stay updated with those short films in particular and the places that they go. Yeah.
Awesome. It was such a pleasure having you with us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, your work is exceptional. I can't tell you guys enough, viewers and those that are going to watch this live video. You've got to go see this young man's two shorts, Irony and The Quiet. You said you have a new one that's out, but you haven't submitted it to our festival yet, right?
Or, no, yeah.
Okay.
That's
all right.
All right. I'll be getting onto that.
Yeah, we've got to see it now. Like, we are waiting for you. What are you doing next? Whatever you're doing, we want it, right? No, your work is exceptional. There are a lot of folks I've interviewed. Their work is good. Yours is exceptional.
You're too kind. I don't deserve this. Thank you. Yes, you're so lovely.
Well, the fact that the Academy and you qualified for what would be an Oscar, the right people are seeing your work, and it's only fair to our viewers as well to be able to capture and see it on Chi TV just for this week, and to just give you a shout out and to congratulate you, so we can look forward to the stuff that you're going to do next. I believe that you have an awesome future in filmmaking. And this season, I've had like 3 seasons on the late night show with Chichi Stylxz. This season, let's focus on Flix Reps and filmmakers and spotlighting filmmakers. I'm very excited because next season's going to go to something else. So thank you again for joining us. I'm going to sign off now. Thank you all my viewers. Share this video. Our filmmaker all the way from Australia. I'm going to tag him on it so that you guys can get to meet him and follow him yourself. Thank you to all my viewers and those who stop by to watch us, and check out the film on Chi TV via Amazon, Roku, and Apple Fire Stick. And see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching.
All right. Bye.